54. Here's what's coming up. Kenya's High Court issues an order stopping the appointment of a new deputy president to replace Rigathi Gachagua, who was impeached. VOA's Vincent Makori speaks to the International Monetary Fund's Managing Director Kristalina Georgieva on the IMF's role in stabilizing sub-Saharan Africa's economy. And Africa 54 takes a closer look at how the winner of the U.S. presidential race is decided. You might be surprised to hear it is not by the majority vote. All this and much more coming up on today's Africa 54. A Kenyan court on Friday issued an order staying until October 24th the appointment of Kithure Kindiki as the new deputy president, and a decision by the Senate upholding the impeachment charges against his predecessor, Rigathi Gachagua. Kindiki, the Interior Minister, was appointed as President William Ruto's deputy Friday, just hours after the Senate voted to impeach Gachagua. Ruto nominated Kindiki, a close ally, and Parliament approved. Gachagua was impeached on 5 of 11 charges, including gross violation of the Constitution and starring ethnic hatred, accusations that he denies and is dismissing as politically motivated. For more on the troubling Kenyan political situation, VOA's Nairobi Bureau Chief Mariama Diallo is standing by live in the capital. Mariama, what more do we know about Rigathi Gachagua's sudden illness, and has he appeared in public yet?
Well, not that I've seen him so far since yesterday, when the chamber actually came back from their break at 2:30 and was waiting, expecting him to take the witness stand. It did not happen. At first, they did not actually know where he was. Even his lawyers did not know where he was until, as time was ticking, then the chamber was informed that basically Rigathi Gachagua had been admitted to the hospital, and that he came in with severe chest pains. Those information was confirmed later by his doctor, the doctor who basically treated him. He did address, that doctor addressed the media yesterday and talked about how, yes, he came in with severe chest pains. They've been doing a lot of tests when, the regular thing that they would do if anybody showed up at their hospital with those kinds of symptoms. He did say that he's the deputy president's health. He was actually stable as of yesterday, but they did say that they were also going to hold him at least 48 to 72 hours to do some extra tests, and also just make sure that everything is checked before being released.
And Mariama, what are Kenyan analysts saying about how quickly his impeachment happened?
I think some analysts actually called it. A piece I filed yesterday had the sequencing of exactly what would happen. Of course, people did not know 100% that it would happen, but because the Parliament was going to have a special session on Friday, and everything that's been the way it's been unfolding, some of them did predict that that special session was supposed to be get word from the president, from President Ruto, about his nominee, and then try to vote on it. That's what they talked about at the time, and that's exactly what happened. Right. So that's why.
Mariama, thank you very much for your reporting. VOA's Nairobi Bureau Chief Mariama Diallo reporting live from the capital, Nairobi. Now for reaction, reporter Zainab Said spoke to Nairobi citizens.
I think it's coming at an untimely time. I don't see the essence of impeaching somebody, yet it was only remaining but a mere of 3 years. You've worked together, you gave a promise that this is the person that I will work together, and then after 2 years you start filing a divorce, we are separating. So it wasn't good, and especially you are impeaching somebody when he's in hospital. I think it was so untimely. You would have given him time, or rather they would have sat down together, had a discussion. Everybody has his own mistakes. You sit down and agree this is where I've made a mistake, and then we move forward. But not impeaching him, it wasn't the right thing.
The impeachment, I think it was stage managed, actually, because it was so fast done, and also as we hear like every day, writings and also news online, the MPs from the National Assembly, they were actually given money, right, to impeach him.
I personally support the direction that the parliamentary team is taken. I'm of the opinion that the outgoing deputy president was too abrasive. He could not tone down his language. He seemed divisive to the country. And as a nation, that's not what we need at the moment. And so I support even the move of the president to nominate Professor Kindiki. In my opinion, he's somebody who is calm, he's a worker, and I hope he will do a good job supporting the president, the cabinet, and the entire Kenyan society to get it to the level that we desire to be as a nation.
And I think it is a political, it's an a political angle. So I don't know. And to the aspect of Kindiki being nominated, it's tough. But we hope we'll do something. Yeah, because new office comes with new responsibilities, and I think he will take up to task.
Even though the outgoing Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua has challenged the decision of the Senate to impeach him in court, the process to have his replacement is underway. The name of the current Interior Cabinet Secretary Kithure Kindiki has been proposed to the Parliament by President William Ruto. Reporting for VOA Africa in Nairobi, my name is Zainab Said.
For analysis on these latest political developments, I'm joined from Nairobi by Macharia M, a professor of history and international relations at the United States International University in Nairobi. Professor, what's your take on how quickly the ouster and replacement of Deputy President Gachagua happened?
It is a convenient diversion from serious problems in the country. People are talking about impeachment, and some other things are happening, like the Adani takeover of institutions. It's a very effective diversionary tactic. The fact that the president and his deputies are loggerheads, that's a given. But the speed with which things are being done makes people not talk about anything else, but just that. So by the time they wake up, very many things would have happened.
Very interesting to hear what Kenyans on the streets of Nairobi had to say about this. But has President William Ruto spoken about his deputy's ouster or made any comments since he fell sick? And how quickly this impeachment hearing took place and a replacement for his position also was done?
Ruto has been very studious in silence, not to say anything, while he is doing a lot of things. He made it very clear to both the National Assembly and the Senate that they had to get rid of Gachagua one way or the other. And listen to the MPs and senators, they say they have been pressured. They make it clear. Some of them would admit it was not their own mind, but they are scared. These people are scared people, and they do not want to appear to be on the wrong side of the president. So they'll just go ahead and rubber stamp things. And say that's okay. And so even when they did it very quickly, then the name Kindiki was quickly thrown in as the replacement. And the National Assembly quickly jumped in and said, we approve, without any discussion. So mad discussion. So it's hurried for a particular purpose, to keep people busy talking about impeachment and nothing else.
Let me jump faster than usual, because this is their first term as president and deputy president. How might Gachagua's ouster at this point in time impact President Ruto's bid for a second term?
Well, it's likely to affect because his ratings in the public arena might go down. But you never know, 3 years is a long time. He can rejuvenate himself and recover from the damage that he has inflicted on himself with this kind of behavior. There is a very low opinion as to how effective the government is doing its job, not very high. And but there are 3 years in which to look better than he is looking. Right now, he's not looking very good.
And quickly, Professor, what should we expect during next week's hearing?
Well, the court cases that the court have issued some stay of swearing in and those kind of things. So we expect that there will be a lot of information coming out about and procedural behavior in both houses of parliament, and therefore making the whole thing illegal, unconstitutional, and therefore not tenable. Whether they'll convince the court in that, the Gachagua people, remain to be seen. But irrespective of how the courts decide, it's Ruto is likely to have his way, one way or the other.
Right. Professor, thank you very much for your insight. Macharia M is a professor of history and international relations at the United States International University in Nairobi. The world's finance ministers and central bank governors gather in Washington next week for the International Monetary Fund World Bank annual meetings. In an interview with Africa 54 managing editor Vincent Makori ahead of the meetings, IMF Managing Director Kristalina Georgieva discussed their role and contributions to sub-Saharan Africa's economic stability.
We very strongly believe in the potential of Africa because the continent has youthful population, whereas the rest of the world is aging. It has rich natural resources, and we have seen countries that are decisive to put in place strong policies and institutions to have good governance, that they can be highly performing, fast-growing economies. We have been a solid and reliable partner for Africa. And when the pandemic hit, was to mobilize swiftly very sizable emergency financing. Country after country benefited from an injection of liquidity. And then we did something historic. We provided our membership with record high special drawing rights contribution. Sub-Saharan Africa, more specifically, got $62 billion injection of liquidity and reserves from the fund when countries needed it the most. I'm not going to say who it was, but I remember vividly, we're in the midst of the pandemic, very high uncertainty, economies are brought to a standstill, and we deliver emergency financing with record speed. Today, we have 25 programs in sub-Saharan Africa, and a very important, something I'm very proud of. In sub-Saharan Africa, we have the largest number of our new long-term financing instrument because it is to help African countries deal with climate change. Africa has done nothing to create this problem. Africa is hammered so dramatically by it. So we took an extra effort to be there for Africa.
Sub-Saharan Africa is estimated to have up to $800 billion in debt, and that is growing, probably. Now, you may have injected some finances to different African countries, but how does that become effective when all these countries are still under that heavy burden and they want to borrow because they have infrastructural projects that they want to implement, but at the same time, they need the funds, but also they're short and they're unable to pay?
We have three types of countries in Africa. Those that have access to markets and use this access responsibly, where debt is good because it is invested in growth and opportunities. We have those that have access to markets but have borrowed not so responsibly, with projections for a world that is always growing, and now we see growth is slow, where the issue of debt management, how can we get countries to be on a sound debt management path, is critical. And then we have countries where sometimes not for fault of their own, that is not sustainable, it has to be restructured. We have put in place a very important three-pronged approach to the liquidity problems, but also the solvency problems we see in Africa.
That was IMF Managing Director Kristalina Georgieva speaking to Africa 54 Managing Editor Vincent Makori. U.S. President Joe Biden says the death of Yahya Sinwar is an opportunity for a political settlement between Israelis and Palestinians. Sinwar was reportedly the mastermind of the Hamas terror attack on Israel in October 2023 and the target of Israelis' year-long retaliatory campaign in Gaza. VOA's Patsy Widakuswara has more.
For years, as Hamas top leader in Gaza, Yahya Sinwar built up the militant group's military capabilities. Since the U.S. designated terror group's attack on Israel on October 7, 2023, Sinwar has been hiding in tunnels like this one. But on Thursday, Israel said they killed Sinwar in an operation in South Gaza. They released a video showing what they said was his final moments.
To the people of Gaza, I have a simple message. This war can end tomorrow. It can end if Hamas lays down its arms and returns our hostages.
President Joe Biden was en route to Germany when the news broke. He called Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to congratulate him on getting Sinwar.
Now is the time to move on move toward a ceasefire in Gaza, ensure that we move in a direction that we're going to be in a position to make things better for the whole world.
Israel's military campaign has targeted Hamas leadership, but has also killed tens of thousands of Palestinian civilians. Biden's call to end the fighting was reiterated by his Vice President Kamala Harris.
It must end such that Israel is secure, the hostages are released, the suffering in Gaza ends, and the Palestinian people can realize their right to dignity, security, freedom, and self-determination.
Families of Israeli hostages still held by Hamas say Sinwar's killing brings more urgency for a ceasefire deal.
Their lives are in great danger now, more than ever. We're calling on the Israeli government and the U.S. administration to act swiftly and do whatever is needed to reach a deal with the captors.
But despite increased pressure on the Netanyahu government, ending fighting in Gaza may not be Israel's main focus right now.
Israel's focus and America's focus is in Lebanon because there's opened up an opportunity to weaken Hezbollah greatly. And this is something that all the American allies in the region, Saudi Arabia, Egypt, etc., are very interested in.
Battered by a year of Israel's military campaign, Gazans say Sinwar's death will unlikely end the year-long war. As Israel hunts down Hamas militants, UN experts say over 1.8 million people, almost 90% of Gaza's population, are experiencing crisis levels of hunger. The findings come after the Biden administration warned this week that U.S. military aid might be cut off unless Israel addresses the humanitarian needs in Gaza. Supplies were airdropped over Gaza Thursday. UN officials said aid has been critically low since Israel's renewed offensive in North Gaza cut off lifelines there. Patsy Widakuswara, VOA News, Washington.
Now to the U.S. presidential election, VOA's Jackson Vunganyi presents his explainer on why the Electoral College and not the popular vote matters most in the voting process.
The Electoral College is how we refer to the process by which citizens of the United States elect the president. Here is how it works.
The Electoral College is how we refer to the process by which the citizens of the United States elect the president. Here's how it works. After each party determines a presidential nominee, the nominee strategically chooses a running mate for the general election. The teams then aggressively campaign in preparation for the election finale on November 5th, the first Tuesday in November. On Election Day, registered voters go to their local polling center to choose their party's nominee for president. The president will technically be determined by a system called the Electoral College. The Electoral College is made up of representatives, or electors, that are allocated based on the voting results in each state. States with bigger populations have more electors. States with smaller populations have fewer. To win the presidency, a candidate must win a majority, or 270 of the electors. The electors then cast their votes about a month later. But the new president does not officially take office until the inauguration in late January.
And that is how the Electoral College, the process by which citizens of the United States elect the president.
Still to come, the latest on one of Ethiopia's most honored composers and pianists. We'll be right back.
We live in the digital age, and parents across the world are dealing with the challenge of trying to manage screen time and to understand the content of their children's digital engagement. Even worse, some parents' use of technology is distracting them from their children. On this week's edition of Our Voices, we will explore the new challenges of parenting in the digital age and long-term effects of smartphones on children's development. We'll also ask parents and experts on ways to overcome digital parenting struggles. Join the conversation each week right here on Our Voices.
Watching VOA's Red Carpet. My name is Jackson Vunganyi. Thank you so much for joining us each week right here on Red Carpet. We bring you the latest in
In other news, Namibians who are part of the LGBTQ+ community often find it difficult to get decent health care, and many report discriminatory practices within the healthcare system. A recent two-day training workshop facilitated by the group, Our Equity Advocacy, was aimed at encouraging healthcare practitioners in Namibia not to discriminate against sexual minorities. Nigerian authorities have announced plans to review safety protocols for the transportation of fuel after a deadly tanker accident and explosion in Jigawa State killed more than 140 people Wednesday. President Bola Tinubu says the review will be, quote, swift and comprehensive, but some observers are skeptical that safety standards are going to improve. It's time for our entertainment report, and here's Heather Maxwell with the latest news in African music. Hello, Heather.
Hello, Esther. Hello, everyone. Georgieva Gachagua, one of Ethiopia's most honored composer pianists of this century, inaugurated a very special event last month with this. Georgieva gave a concert at Pharaoh School, an all-girls boarding school in the rural town of Homosha in the Benishangul Gumuz region in western Ethiopia, on a piano that had been gifted to the school by the Pharaoh Foundation and management. Now, the piano was trekked from a piano warehouse in London to Addis Ababa to Homosha. It was then tuned by one of the few piano tuners in Ethiopia, and Gachagua was then invited to perform. So joining me now is Bill Odidi, a Nairobi-based journalist, to tell us more about the event. He was there. Bill, hi. I saw you in the audience. You were wearing that bright yellow T-shirt. Welcome to Africa 54.
Yeah, you wouldn't miss that T-shirt, would you?
No, so tell us about the event. How was it?
No, it was absolutely amazing. An event like none I've covered in my long career as a journalist covering art and culture, traveling to deep rural Ethiopia to an amazing school, which was started for girls in a small community in Ethiopia. Homosha is about 500 kilometers from Addis Ababa. And just to see the young girls, they're absolutely inspired. You've already talked about the long journey from London when the piano was assembled all the way to Homosha. It's an incredible story. And the piano was set up there. Girma Yifrashewa, who's a world-renowned Ethiopian pianist and composer, performing not just Western pieces, but also Ethiopian classical pieces to show the girls that there is a world of possibilities which is open now. And with the Ethiopian curriculum, school curriculum changing to accommodate more of the performing and skills in music and so on, this piano is just going to transform the lives of those girls. And they sat in the audience. Many of them already acknowledged that they're good singers, and some of them tried out singing. And to watch Girma then play, it gives them such an opportunity to learn a new skill, playing the piano, in addition to their singing. And I think it's just going to transform the lives of those girls in such incredible ways, because this is now part of their curriculum, but they've also got such a deep passion for music. And now they've got an instrument, a wonderful upright piano, right there in their school. So it was a beautiful, beautiful event.
Bill, did you see the girls interacting with the piano itself?
Well, no. Many of them have not been able to get a tutor, and that's why Girma has offered, he's got a busy program because he performs around the world, but he said that he's able to create an opportunity with his network as well, so that there are master classes for the girls, you know. So many of them have never touched a piano before. Probably this is the first time that they're actually seeing a real piano, but there is now a real chance for them to get practical lessons. And who knows, in the next few months, probably in the next 1 year, many of them will have become, you know, quite good at handling the piano and playing some notes, you know. So it's one step at a time, and I'm really, really optimistic that the interest that the girls have shown there in Homosha shows that there is an incredible possibility for them to, you know, learn this piano and just take themselves and open their world to endless possibilities.
Yes. Well, Bill, thank you so much for bringing that story to us. It's a pleasure having you on. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And thank you to Esther as well.
All right, Esther, that's it for entertainment. Now back to you.
That's my brother over there. All right, be sure to join Heather Maxwell's entertainment reports here on Africa 54. And that's our show for today. Be sure to watch Africa 54 on our website at voaafrica.com. From all of us here in Washington, have a great weekend.